You know what time it is. You know what time it is.
How firm my friendship. Oh, how
you know what time it is. On brawl with them boys of the fall. You know what time it is. On the ground with a nose for the ball. You know what time it is. Blood, sweat, and them tears for this game. Leaving it all out on the field with no fear for you lames. Yeah, you know what time it is. Come brawl with them boys of the fall. Covered in gray and scarlet, massive, stiff arms to your jaw. We breaking it. We sick of seeing you clowns with the crown. We taking it.
What up, Buckeye Nation? Welcome to the Buckeye Boys, where we talk about college football with real fans. I'm Devin, and tonight, joined by a very special guest, good friend of mine, well-known, doesn't even need an introduction, Funky. Funky, how you doing tonight, bro?
I'm doing good. Waking up Sunday as national champions, celebrating the 3-month anniversary of being national champions, Devin. And it does not get better than that. You know, you got to appreciate it every single day. And I say that before the beginning of every single show, because again, we're national champs and no one can take that away. So it's a great Sunday, and happy Easter to everyone.
Yeah, 100% happy Easter. And I feel you, Funky. This season was the first time in my life where I was so dedicated to the Buckeyes that I went to every playoff game. And I'm just sitting here thinking how blessed I am and fortunate to have chosen this particular season to go all out, spend the money, travel, and go watch the Oregon, the Texas, and the Notre Dame game, because what we watched was history, man. It's going to be talked about for a very, very long time. So I love bringing it up, talking about it, and just understanding exactly what happened, because I get that was the first 12-team playoff and everybody's like, well, Ohio State had the first chance to go on a run like that. I don't know, man. I'm still hard pressed to say, even though we had the first chance, I doubt we see a team do something like that for a good minute. That was some serious football going on there for a minute.
Yeah, that was just an absolute run, and coming from kind of a lower seed, an 8 seed, we might see that from a 1 seed or a 2 seed, who a juggernaut team that might come up, but from a team that dealt with all that adversity that team dealt with, that run was amazing, and we got to appreciate it every single day, because again, we win a natty once every 8-9 years, so yeah. Just got to appreciate it, and that's more of a recent thing too. So
yeah. 100%, man. It's great to be a Buckeye fan, man. We're on to the next year. We just recently watched the spring game. Buckeye recruiting's got a lot of momentum. The spring portal, up and about. Buckeyes are active in that. So we're going to talk about that. Going to be a short show. The Cavs play at 7. So we got to be up and out of here and prepared to watch that thing. But I want to start off. I never got to talk about it. The spring game, man. I actually... the spring game happened the day that I flew into the Virgin Islands. I just got back from there. So my whole family is going out on the beach, just showed up to the Virgin Islands. They're like, Devin, let's go. And I'm like, I'm sorry, guys. The spring game's on. I got to stay in here. I got to watch. It was bad, man. You know what I mean? That's when I realized might be a problem. But, just a couple takeaways from that for me I wanted to talk about is, I was on the Lincoln Kienholz train, still am. He showed a lot of, I think he's a lot better than people gave him credit for. But to me, it's so obvious. Julian Sam is just that dude. He's going to be the starter this year. I'm eating my words there. I predicted Lincoln Kienholz just because that's just what I did. But Julian Sam looked phenomenal. Bo Jackson, freshman running back, looked phenomenal. Mylan Graham is absolutely ridiculous. Potential to be the number 4 wide receiver. And now, obviously, if you're watching, trust me and Funky realize this is a spring game. There's only so much weight that comes from what we're actually watching. It's a spring game. That's why I don't have much to say about the defense, because it was there wasn't much being called. You know what I mean? So it's hard to really, talk about too much on the defense. But start off with the offensive side, Funky. What did you see, man, that really got you excited offensively?
Yeah, obviously you brought it up. Julian Sain's the truth, and Mylan Graham is he's the 5-star kid that we all knew he was. He just was a little buried last year at being a summer enrollee as a freshman. And he's going to be fighting for those. I mean, the wide receiver 3, maybe, with him and Brandon Inniss. I mean, that's going to be a good battle there in the fall. But he's for sure going to see the field a lot, just like Brandon did last year, even if he's in that wide receiver 4 route, 4 room, Milan's still going to get the ball a lot and be a vital part of the offense, because Brandon made some huge plays for us, some huge 3rd down conversions, that early touchdown versus Penn State. So I can see Milan having a similar role, if not a little larger role this year. But the one person that I want to stress was CJ Donaldson. CJ Donaldson looked like a dude. He looked really good. And I heard a little bit, early on in spring camp that he looked really good, but it's good to see it show out, at least on the field in front of my own eyes. Because he looked fast, he looked agile, he looked like someone that could carry a 45% of the carries for the Buckeyes this fall. And that's really good, and that's needed in this new era of 17, 18 game seasons at this point, So it's pretty much playing an NFL-style season. So we're going to need more bodies at running back. There's no really such thing as a workhorse running back anymore. That's kind of it just won't work nowadays. It won't. Like, you would have to have Ashton Genty on your team to make it somewhat work, but it just really realistically won't work for most of these teams. So good to see CJ Donaldson really step up, and he could be that 1A, 1B with Peoples. And then you got Bo Jackson there as well, who's going to definitely see a lot of carries this year, especially early on, just like Peoples did last year.
Yeah, 100%. A change to the spring game as well was watching, and I always do this, I always forget names, dude. I got so many. I mean, I got 28 recruits' names in my head. So but the Purdue tight end transfer, man, it was amazing watching him in the spring game. We knew this was happening. I mean, we saw his film from previously, but him being a Buckeye now, one of the only awards Ohio State has never won is, I forget the name of the award. You probably know it, but having the best tight end in the country and watching what he was doing out there on the field with them throws from Julian, right down the middle and stuff. That's a sight that I love to see. I loved watching Jelani get in there. I wish he would have pulled that one in from McLean, but good move by McLean as well. But we're stacked, absolutely loaded on the offensive side of the ball. My last question to you on the offensive side of the ball was, I know you can't gauge much from the offensive line. They looked really, really good. Normally, we're used to seeing the D-line be dominant in those situations. I thought I saw the opposite. The offensive line was being dominant there. But do you think Austin Sareveld ends up, getting this right tackle job? That was not in my cards on any of my guesses the beginning of the season, but seeing him start out there and seeing what he did, what's your thoughts on that, man?
Yeah, I mean, I was in the same boat as you. At first, I didn't even think that was a possibility. Then you start hearing noise of him having a really good winter camp, and then all of a sudden you see him win Iron Buckeye, and you're like, wow, he had a really good winter camp. And then he goes out there and runs the first team right tackle position, and you're like, okay, maybe that's just because they want to get Ian Moore a little more reps or Phillips a little more into the game. But no, it's real. I think that he's the chalky pick right now to be the right tackle, and he would be my prediction right now to be the right tackle for Ohio State, which is amazing. He's a redshirt sophomore, so he has a ton of eligibility left. He could play this year, the year after that, and he has 3 more years of eligibility. So if we got our right tackle for the future who could be a Buckeye for 3 more years, that just puts us in a really good spot for years and years to come. This offensive line is going to be one of the best offensive lines we've seen here at Ohio State in a while. I mean, last year's would obviously talent-wise is better, but their health concerns is what really derailed them. But this year, going into it, it's going to be an extremely good offensive line with 4 guys returning, plus Ethan on the left tackle position. And then those 4 guys returning could all return next year as well, Devin. So yeah, as I hate bringing it up, like they could too far in the future, but as much as I love our outlook for 2025, and we're the natty favorites. That's the truth. We're the natty favorites of 2025 and 2026. We're going to be just even better. Even
Yeah.
2026, we don't, if we don't at least make it, or like make a huge playoff run in 2026, like make it to the Natty, or really compete for Natty, and hopefully, or we should win it. I would be really, really surprised, because that's going to be Julian Sains last year, JJ Smith last year. We're going to have a whole offensive line returning for the third straight year. We're going to have 7 defensive guys returning, or no, actually more than that, 7 or 8 defensive guys returning. It's going to be a really good team in 2020, like a really good team in 2026, as much as I love talking about 2025.
Yeah, you also look at the momentum that the Buckeyes are carrying in the 2026 recruiting class as well. I know freshmen don't, contribute too awful much here at Ohio State, but when you see the momentum that we got, and then you think about 2026 even, and you think about the 2025 class that we just signed is going to have that whole other year of experience with the Riley Pettijohns and Quincy Porters of that class. It's kind of scary, ridiculous, but kind of moving on, man, on some recruiting things. I never got to talk about the pickup of Brock Boyd, the flipping from TCU to Ohio State. To me, big time under the radar. I feel like I say that all the time, man, but especially when we talked about the wide receiver position. If Brian Hartline accepts an offer this early and goes after a recruit that is already committed to a school this hard, and Brian Hartline is obsessed with this dude, like went after him hardcore, made sure he got this commitment. His stats are off the chart. I think this is a big time pickup for the Buckeyes in the 2026 class, and just goes to speak to the momentum that we're carrying. I'm going to let you speak on the other, the thing that you dropped over there on the scoop board about the information you got about another commit that we possibly have coming our way. So give us your thoughts on Brock Boyd, and tell us about the potential new Buckeye joining this class, man.
Yeah, I mean, Brock Boyd, he plays in a top 3 football section in the whole entire United States. He's competing there with the highest level of Georgia football, Division I Southern Section football in California, and then it's Texas, big Texas time football, where every team that they go against in that state tournament has multiple 5-stars on it, and he dominated it. I mean, he's being called the best wide receiver in South Lake Carroll's history. And South Lake Carroll has a long history of amazing wide receivers, and this is coming straight from people that know. Like, these are people that are they're South Lake Carroll royalty, and they're calling this kid the best wide receiver in their history. He had 2,000 all-purpose yards last year, 20 plus touchdowns, all-purpose touchdowns, and man, that's gonna be a great pickup. He's gonna end up being a top 100 kid in the class. I mean, being an Ohio State commit helps. Obviously, Ohio State wide receiver commits are gonna get a little bump in the recruiting rankings. So he's already a 4-star going into it, though. And again, Brian Hartline would not take this kid. He's not here to fill in the class. Brian Hartline doesn't have a lack of wide receivers on his list that he could possibly recruit. With him and KDW, it's going to be an insane wide receiver class. And obviously, Chris Henry Jr. is, one of the best wide receiver prospects to come to Ohio State, and that's saying something now.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, as you said, we have PJ Dean. That's correct. Sorry, PJ Dean is. I would put him on commitment watch. He's a 5-star. He could be a 5-star inside offensive lineman, or you get a 5-star defensive lineman, which is what he's actually being recruited for at Ohio State. Larry Johnson wants him at defensive line, and that's what the kid prefers. That's what the kid prefers too. The kid wants to play on the defensive line, preferably. And Larry Johnson obviously needs to approve of that, and he does. This kid's a true 5-star on the defensive line as well. He's won multiple camp MVPs at defensive line, not offensive line. And he's a freak of nature kid from North Carolina, playing in a decent good football league, the same one that David Sanders played in. So a good football comp there. And he loves the Buckeyes. I got word of him becoming a Buckeye, and I got a text of it saying, "Oh, he's becoming a Buckeye." Because at first I thought we were running 1A, 1B with Georgia, because it's us, Georgia, and South Carolina competing for this kid. But I'm being told that we've pulled ahead, and then we report that, and then some 2 other people put in crystal balls or predictions for him to also become a Buckeye. So seeing those reports, I mean, like, when more people say it, obviously it's more likely to become true. So it looks like he's gonna be he's gonna commit here any day now. I mean, he could commit by the time we're done with this podcast, for all we know, to be honest with you. So yeah. I have word of his commitment being leaked. That's what I was told. So I heard the post is out there, and it's just a matter of the minute.
Yeah, I had his highlights pulled up, but I don't know what's going on with it. I'm just not even going to play him at this point. But go watch this dude's highlights. I mean, obviously, he looks like he's a college player playing against high school kids. Just on his strength alone, he just absolutely dominates. Very explosive, very quick feet, but it's exciting to see it. And this is what we've been waiting for, man, because most of the recruiting services, they have him ranked as an interior offensive lineman, the number 1 ranked interior offensive lineman, I think over on 247 or on Con 3, one of those places. But this is a Larry Johnson deal here on the defensive side of the ball. And it's kind of what I've been waiting for. I mean, that's the uproar in Buckeye Nation right now, is the defensive line recruiting. If you want to hear what the Buckeye, fan base is complaining about, it's always going to be something. But it's that defensive line recruiting. We saw the past couple years, Larry Johnson, for whatever reason, money, whatever, negative recruiting. We don't know really what it is, but it has came in and at the very last second lost some recruits. I'm pumped about the class he just signed with Jarquez Carter and Epi Citinelli and those guys. I think we got a really good class there. But you see the momentum that we have in this class with the receivers, the linebackers, the offensive line, and what Tyler Bowen's doing. And you're like, okay, Larry, come on, jump on board here. So this would be a massive, massive pickup, multiple crystal balls in. I don't really pay too much attention to that. I personally hate it when Con 3 puts a crystal ball in for Ohio State. I don't like that. I feel like that's like a bad omen. But luckily, he just followed suit with Scoop and Bucknuts and put his crystal ball in after you guys did. So that's a good thing.
Yeah. No, that's it's the kiss of death, I like to call it. The kiss of death. The big thing, I mean, our defensive line recruiting is going to be pretty good this year, too. We have, I'm going to butcher his name. I'm sorry. Deuce, say his last name?
Deuce Gerald's.
That's it. Deuce Gerald's, the Harris twins, and obviously PJ Dean. I mean, those are. I'm missing one name too, but I mean, those are 4 kids that would be great gets at Ohio State, and yeah, you're right. The defensive line recruiting has been weak, but this class, I don't see it being weak. I think we're really gonna have a really put together class this year. And there's not one position group that I'm really worried about. Besides, I mean, obviously quarterback. We're not gonna get a quarterback. So besides our quarterback, I mean, we're the favorites to win. Savion, Hyder, we can take it a commitment from the Favor Akii anytime we'd want. There's that other running back,
Derek Cooper.
Derek Cooper in the running for, but there's that one running back from Florida who I'm forgetting. I think he got the kiss of death.
The new one. He's the number 3 ranked running back in the class.
Yeah.
I forget his name. He just visited, and right after the visit, everybody said, he got the kiss of death. I like that. The kiss of death, dude.
And then the wide receiver class is obviously there, and then the linebacker class. I mean, we already got one in the boat, and then we're gonna get Sinclair Johnson for sure. And then it's just a matter if it's going to be an amazing class, if we push for a kid like Tyler Atkinson, or if it's just going to be a solid class. But I mean, and obviously it's the safeties and defensive backs are already loaded, so we don't even talk about that. But man, it's going to be 2026 and these are all Buckeyes too, Dev. That's what I love about it. Yep. We're not recruiting. We're not getting these NIL battles. We're not here trying to outbid these kids. We see what's happening with Victor Singleton. Now, we had a little uproar when he committed to Illinois, but then word comes out that Ohio State literally stopped recruiting him because he's literally just going to the highest bidder. He committed to Illinois about 2 months ago, and then 2 months later committed to Texas A&M. So what are the odds that he sticks with that Texas A&M commitment? I'd say 0. So he'll probably end up somewhere else as well. And who knows? Maybe Michigan gets desperate and throws him a huge bag, twice his worth at signing day and flips him. That's possible. He's a Toledo kid. He's right there. But I mean, that's about the only way Michigan can get any steam right now in recruiting. So.
Yeah, for sure. On a quick note, this is how recruiting is supposed to look for legit national champs. If you legitimately go out and win the national title, this is the recruiting momentum that you're supposed to have, for those of you that haven't seen that in a couple years. But I love what the Buckeyes are doing. Larry Johnson just offered that, I think it's something Perez out of Cleveland, the defensive tackle out of there. So I got faith, man. I got faith with what Ryan Day's doing and all the coaches that he's hired. I am not worried about recruiting, defensive line recruiting, because we'll get it figured out one way or the other, right? It's like if we don't get who we need at the high school rankings, we got the transfer portal. But before we dive into that, which I want to do, I do want to hit on the thing that you said. You said, Dev, they're Buckeyes, man. That's one of the biggest blessings about, having the platform that me and Mello have now, and being able to interview these recruits that Ohio State offers and that Ohio State really, really goes after, is you really get to see that. Not only are these recruits like Buckeye potential with the way that they carry themselves, but their families as well, the support groups around them. They're not out there, making a post every 10 minutes and flipping and flopping and going after nil and going after the whole things. They're about the development. They're about the culture. They're about the relationships. And again, I know I say it all the time, but this is why Ryan Day's the best coach in college football, is because just imagine how hard it would be to create this type of culture in this environment. That is a challenge. It is not easy to do. I mean, the culture that Ohio State has is with the Dan Lannings, all these other coaches. That's what they want, man. I promise you, they want a culture like this. Look at the transfer portal. Would we lose a walk-on wide receiver and a third-string punter? I mean, go look at all these other teams, man. So the culture that is built here is what's going to carry us into the dynasty that I believe we're about to be running into. But I'm talking about the transfer portal. It's what everybody wants to hear about now. It's opened. And I wanted to ask you this to kind of lead into this conversation. Go back to the spring game, man. I know we can gauge very little from it, definitely from the defensive side of the ball, because of Ryan Day said it. There's only like 3 calls played 3 plays called the entire time. So, I loved what Logan George did. He really showed us that, he has the potential to, play at the level that the Buckeyes would expect him to. But just from watching that spring game, man, tell us your thoughts on where you would want to see some pickups from in the transfer portal, because everybody's going with D tackle. And I've always thought it was defensive end, but now everybody's obsessed with defensive tackles. Where are you at, man?
Yeah, and before I say what I'm about to say, I'm very positive about Ohio State's team in 2025, and there's only one negative part of this whole entire team, and it's defensive ends. The second team defensive line played a good bit last year, and especially watching it in person when they would rotate those second line in, especially those defensive ends, they would run the ball down our throat. I mean, you watch the Tennessee game. The one time Tennessee had success, really, that whole entire game was because our second team defensive line was in for the 80% of that drive. So I definitely think Ohio State needs to get some dudes on that defensive line, because right now I feel like we have a few guys who could, they could get it done. They were not horrible. They're not like horrible to any extent, but in this transfer portal era where you could fill in holes when you like at pretty much any time, Ohio State needs to take advantage of it, and we need to really look for me, it's defensive ends. I know a lot of people were talking about how they want to get a third-string defensive tackle out of the portal, and that's the goal for Ohio State. But I never saw that, because you just really, how I put it, how can you convince a really good defensive tackle that's Ohio State caliber, a needle mover, to commit to the play here when he has Caden McDonald and Edric Houston ahead of him? You can't. I mean, to me, that's an impossible task because you're asking this kid to pretty much be a backup when he would start at. I mean, if he's Ohio State caliber, then he could probably start at every other team in the nation. So trying to recruit someone like that just seems impossibly hard. And really, I mean, I would be shocked if it really did happen. I really hope it happens. There's a few guys that are that caliber good from. I mean, the Syracuse defensive tackle. There's the Southern Georgia defensive tackle who's both great guys. Both got Ohio State offers who are gonna probably visit Ohio State soon enough. Then you obviously have that Oklahoma kid,
David Stone.
That whole thing's going to be a little weird, so I'm not fully sure. Well, that's going to David Stone one's weird, but obviously, if I was going to get a commitment from him, then we're going to take that 100% of the time. He'd be a huge get. But for me, I want to focus on defensive ends. I think Bo. I'm forgetting his last name. Bo
Atkinson.
It is Atkinson. That's what I thought. Yep. I think Bo Atkinson. I really like where Ohio State sits with him. I think that he could have a big role at Ohio State. I think he can show up day one and be the best defensive end that we have, and that's really what we need. We need a guy like him, where he's good enough to be a day one starter and be for the producing, but he's not like an NIL kid. We're not going to have to pay a ton for him. He has multiple years of eligibility left, so he'll probably be our starting defensive end for the next 2 years. But that also keeps the room happy because he's not going to be so dominant that he takes. Sam William Dixon is back in the portal. Did that just happen?
I'm looking it up right now.
Sorry, I'll keep talking. Obviously, because we have a lot of guys in defensive end room, so getting a superstar would upset a lot of people, especially like CJ Hicks, who really needs a big role this year, or really, I mean, Caden Curry and Kenyatta Jackson have been waiting their turns, so they'll be a little upset if we bring in some superstar. But I think Bo is a perfect kid that's good enough, but he's not going to upset anyone, and he's a great culture fit. I mean, the kid comes from North Carolina, I mean, a pretty stand-up program. He's a great kid. He's a very talented player, and he's very good against the run, but he can also get to the pass rusher, and that's really what we need because we're talented enough where the defensive line doesn't need to be it doesn't need to be the star of our team.
Yeah.
It just needs to hold its own. And he would fit that role perfectly. And I really think Buckeyes can get a commitment from him, I mean, as soon as Tuesday. So
yeah, for sure. I'm not seeing anything on the Sam William Dixon thing, and it would be a huge surprise if he was. But to hit on your point, Funky, I share a little bit of a different take because more specific, I think as far from the defensive ends that we have now, I think they're just way different than what we had last year. I think that I personally don't think we're going to have much trouble getting to the quarterback this year. I think we might have a little bit more production there, bringing in Matt Patricia, but you also get help from linebackers like Arvell Reese and Sonny Styles and players like that. CJ Hicks moving over there. But I will agree that I am concerned with specifically the run-stopping aspect of this defensive line. And it goes back to watching, our second-string defensive line coming in last year and seeing what happened. Because as much as I'm a Buckeye fan, as much as I love Kenyatta Jackson and Caden Curry, there is so much truth to that statement that there was struggles there. Caden Curry, a little bit smaller of a player. Kenyatta Jackson more fits that fold. But the Buckeyes are definitely, I mean, everybody knew this. Ryan Day said they'd be in there for defensive linemen. But the other position that they're going after is offensive tackle. And that's more for depth pieces. But specifically on the defensive side of the ball, here's the players. Of course, anytime a D tackle enters the portal, everybody's like, oh, yeah, got to get him, must get him. I'm used to that right now. But definitely the edge, Bo Atkinson, 6'6", 260 from North Carolina. He visited Georgia on Friday. A lot of people were concerned he might actually commit then. He did not. That's a good thing. The teams I'm hearing right now are Georgia, and he spent a long time on a Zoom call with South Carolina, which doesn't seem real to me. And then Ohio State, he's going to be here on Monday, man. So I really like her potential there. I would love to get this kid, man. I went and watched his film. I think he's an impact player immediately. huge Christian, loves the Lord, just feels like he would fit. He just feels like a Buckeye, man. So we'll see what we can do there. Troy Pike, 6'3", 290 from Georgia Southern. I think he was like all whatever division he's in, like the All-American or all freshman, all team, something like that. Pretty good. Not like a lot of production there, but I think a player that can come in. A lot of eligibility left. And then you got the Syracuse defensive tackle, who was a freshman All-American, Murad Watson, 31 tackles, 1 sack last year, 6'3", 315. Hayes Fawcett put out a graphic saying that Ohio State was in on him, along with like Tennessee and Texas and Georgia. Yet again, Texas has picked up 4 defensive tackles in the transfer portal. In Tennessee, not feeling it there, but we'll see what happens, man. Ohio State is not playing around. They are very, very good in the transfer portal. I mean, we're really close to 100% success there. That's impossible to have, but if you look at the players that we get, we're about to see this year with the Logan Georges that we picked up. We'll see what happens there, but I'm liking what I'm seeing so far, and I trust, this Ohio State staff to go into the portal and get what they need. They're not playing games. They went in last year and got Caleb Downs and Quinshaw Junkins. Like, they made sure they got what they need. So Ohio State, they're really, really productive when it comes to finding players in the transfer portal and getting them, man. So I'm excited to see what we do there. As far as the offensive tackle go, we got 14 offensive linemen on the team right now. I know Tyler Bono and Ryan Day, they want 16 is the number, I believe. So they're looking at that Orion Irving. I actually reached out to him, and he mentioned that he was visiting the Buckeyes. He put on his Instagram and stuff that he got a visit there. Another one I haven't been able to confirm yet, but the offensive lineman out of West Virginia, Justin Terry, is out of Pickerington Central, Ohio. 6'3", 338. He has said that he is interested in the Buckeyes, but I don't know if the Buckeyes have reached out yet. So we'll see, man. Just an absolutely stacked and loaded team. When you lose that much talent, man, I'm not saying the team's not going to be as good, but it's 100% going to look different. We're losing, players like JT and Jack Sawyer, which are extremely hard to replace. Tyleek Williams, Ty Hamilton. That defensive line is clearly the number one area that we need a little bit of push in and a little bit of help in, I do believe. Not that I don't trust our starters. I think, Edric Houston and K-Mac. But then you got players like Tywan Malone and Jason Moore and Will Smith Jr. And it's like, okay, what's coming out of these guys? What are we doing here? These are their last chances that they have. And us as fans, we're not hearing much out of them. We heard a little bit about Will Smith Jr. In the spring, about the potential that he has and him showing up a little bit. But the Jason Moores and the Tywan Malones, we'll see what happens, man. We'll see what they do. But again, Buckeyes are in hot and heavy, the defensive line, and I trust that they're going to make it happen. But if we got Bo Atkinson, that's my number one want in the portal right now. It's not David Stone, the 5-star freshman from Oklahoma. I don't see that happening. We know the Buckeyes they're just not that school. They're not the Miamis. They're not the Ole Misses. They're not the Oregons that are just going to go straight up buy players, because that's not how you create the culture that Ryan Day has. He's going to go for players that, match the morals and the character of this team. And I think that's the most important. But I'm excited, man, about what we're doing in the portal. You got anything to add, what I just said, Funky?
Yeah, the Sam Houston offensive tackles from Cincinnati. I'm 99% sure on that as well. So, that's an Ohio kid who went to Sam Houston, started as a freshman, played very well as a freshman. I know it's Sam Houston, I think they're actually FBS now. I think they were FCS for a while, but I think they're FBS now. But yeah, I know it's lower level, but he played really well. He's a big kid. He's clearly a project kid, but he's a kid that wants to be a Buckeye. He could probably come here, redshirt, and then still have 3 more years after that to, play real football and be like a highly competitive kid. I love getting Ohio kids, and especially Ohio kids who really earn their offers. I mean, think about it. Phillips didn't have an offer from Ohio State out of high school, and he committed, but he plays at Minnesota, plays 4 games, plays well, and then gets an offer from Ohio State in the portal and comes here. And then same with this guy. It's kind of like Ohio State's kind of righting some wrongs, some recruiting misses, because clearly these kids should have got offers out of high school, but maybe for the better that they didn't. Maybe it pushed them a little harder, made them work a little harder, got them some game experience, and now they're going to come in and be those depth pieces that we really need at a position that is always useful to have more bodies in. Offensive line, defensive line, you can't stress just having bodies, how important that is. So
yeah,
it's good to see Ohio State, probably right some wrongs in that in-state recruiting, and in reality get more kids that want to be here because he really wants to be a Buckeye. I mean, you saw he posted about all his offers on his Twitter, and when he got an offer from Ohio State, it was like, it felt like you could almost feel the emotion behind it. It was like, wow, like I got an offer from the Ohio State, my hometown, like that's my state. Like he probably grew up a Buckeye fan, and or at least he definitely grew up around the culture being from Ohio. We know how it is. So just very happy for him, and I really hope he becomes a Buckeye. I hope he trusts the process and jumps to us, because obviously he wouldn't start this year or even really play this year. But man, could he get developed and become a really great player down the line?
Yeah, for sure, man. When I was on the Justin Fry hate train a while ago, I ate my words there just to say it out loud again. But I started going through all of Division I college football, and I started finding all these Ohio offensive linemen that were starting or impact players on D1 college football teams that didn't even get Ohio State football offers. And I will tell you that surprisingly, there's a lot more than what people truly realize. So there's some diamonds in the rough that Ohio State has definitely missed on the last 3 years. I mean, we've been on this, small, not many offers, Justin Fry's strategy, but I don't think that's going to happen anymore with Tyler Bowen and what he's doing, casting a very large net. So I love going after, like you said, these Ohio players, man. They get it. They got the passion for it. So excited to see what we got going on. The last thing I want to hit on, man, probably the funnest conversation that we're about to have, man, is there was this, I don't know, most people probably don't know this because it wasn't televised. You couldn't even find it. No, dude, I'm a guru at finding any sport event that I want to watch, like streaming live on the internet somewhere. I mean, I have all these, I'm subscribed to everything. I have all these sites, and I was like, surely I'm going to be able to find the Scum spring game streaming somewhere live. I could not find it anywhere, but they had a spring game, man. And I'm sitting there going through all of these highlight videos and stuff. And I scroll down Twitter and I see this one, man, and it's Con 3 again, saying, I think it says something like this: 5-star quarterback living up to potential with an 80-yard pass for a touchdown. And you go click on that, and you know what you see? You see a trick play with defensive players standing there just staring because they're like, if we try too hard, we're going to blow this up, and it's not going to happen. It was a flea flicker trick play to the running back, a 5-10-yard pass that he ran all the way to the end zone at the end. So I get it. He's a freshman. I think Bryce has a lot of potential, man. Tavian St. Clair struggled. He had the freshman struggles, but we saw him turn it around. I haven't watched much of it, but from what I have gleaned from this, maybe Scum fans should be a little bit questioning now whether he's going to come in and be the savior to this program that they're really believing. And maybe even the coaches are questioning it. They go out and what are they going after, the Iowa quarterback now or something? So
yep.
I just wanted to get your take, man. I think you've probably seen more of their spring game, but let's hear it, man. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I had some really good eyes in the sky in the spring game, so pretty much was able to watch it pretty much every single snap. I'll obviously rewatch it when they stream it live next Saturday, or not live obviously, but they play a rerun of it on Saturday on Big Ten Network, probably at noon next Saturday. So I'll definitely be watching that as well to make sure everything I saw is I actually believe in. But what's a fact is Bryce Underwood threw for less than 100 yards, 0 touchdowns, an interception. It went 12 for 27 completion percentage in the spring game. And you know what's best of all? He's still clearly the starter at Michigan this year. Jaden Davis, credit. We just talked about Con 3 and how there's so many bad things about On 3, but I mean EJ Holland nailed this one. EJ Holland publicly stated that Jaden Davis was trash, and that's really hard to say when you're a Michigan insider talking about your commit like that. Like you like holy that's I brought this up before, but that's always something. That's imagine us going out here and saying Tavian St. Clair's trash. Like that's just like you don't really say that. Like you like. Even if you think that, like that, you probably wouldn't want to say. You know, your whole fan base. That's just like you don't say that. And he went out there and said it. He trashed him, and he was right. He was right. Jaden Davis is one of the worst players I've ever seen play quarterback for Michigan. Touch the ball, Devin, and so that's the only reason why Bryce Underwood is the obvious starter right now because Keen's injured. But that's why they're pursuing a transfer quarterback because I don't think they like Bryce either. I mean, Bryce. We're literally fighting every single day like a North Korea propaganda machine from Michigan, Devin, with all this scripted plays at the end of the game, the inflated stats, and try to really not make it because the game was 10-0. I mean, that's embarrassing. Like that's genuinely embarrassing. 17-0 is at least. Oh, see, we had some success on one side of the ball, but no, I mean, it was overall like an embarrassing game. The watch and even it's funny. It's like today they got the commitment from like a UMass, like UMass's like backup running back. Yeah, he had like 600 total yards, and he was called literally. This is a true story. Someone brought it up in the chat. I heard it. Yeah, mini Saquon Barkley, the next Saquon Barkley.
Literally, dude, that's wild.
He had 600 yards and like 2 touchdowns at University of Massachusetts, and. That's something else.
It's just a fantasy land, man. It's like, listen, it's like we understand, okay? We understand that Bryce is a freshman quarterback. We understand Tavian St. Clair is a freshman quarterback. We don't think Tavian St. Clair is going to come in here and be the starter and lead us to a national title this year. But it's just like they never can be realistic about things. You know, they're so worried about trying to get under our skin or whatever, lying. It's just like, you really think Bryce Underwood, he's a freshman. This is not knocking him. Great football player. But what it is knocking is your program and your fans acting like he's going to come in and look like Terrell Pryor out there as a freshman throwing the ball. That's rare. That is very rare to happen, man. But I mean, everything I watched, their left tackle, Link or whatever, I think he was their left tackle last year, man. He didn't look too hot to me. Everybody's talking about how good their defensive line looked, and it's like, and how much better they developed their defensive line than Ohio State does. It's just like, well, who are they going up against? What's this offensive line they're going up against? Yeah, you out-recruit us with the offensive line, but that didn't look too hot to me either. Again, spring game, understand, but it's just what does get under it. It's just wild to hear statements like baby Saquon Barkley from a UMass, transfer running back that had under 700 yards rushing. The problem is they legit believe that. That's the problem. It's like, I always think to myself, are they trolling here? Or is this seriously what they believe in their mind? Like the whole Bryce Underwood talk, the whole time I'm like, are they just trolling? Like, are they trying to troll, acting like this dude's going to come in and win the Heisman as a freshman quarterback at a program that has not proven they can develop quarterbacks very well, let alone pass the ball very well? So it's all just, it's comical to me. You're killing it on Twitter, by the way. You were blowing that stuff up, dude. You had me rolling, dude. I was in tears laughing at all that.
But that's the thing. That's the thing, Devin. like we're not like I'm not saying Bryce Underwood's not going to be a very good quarterback. There's a really good chance he is a very good quarterback. But and they're like, oh, why are you being so hard on just a true freshman in the spring? And it's like because y'all put those expectations on him.
Yes.
Y'all paid him $12.5 million on a 3-year contract. That's $4 million. That means he's getting paid $4 million this year to play for Michigan. And he's known as the savior. You're talking about hey, he's gonna immediately be a game changer, but then he struggles, and then you say, oh, you can't judge him for struggling. He's a freshman. No, I could judge him for struggling because y'all are calling him your day one savior, and that's just not true. That's a lie. If you like how we handle Tavian, Tavian obviously had his struggles in the spring game. If we had to start Tavian this year, I would be very scared, and I would not want to do that. That's not me saying Tavian's not going to be a great quarterback. I think Tavian's going to be an all-time great Buckeye for a dozen different reasons, but I'm realistic. Freshman quarterback don't show up, especially, first of all, a freshman quarterback could show up to Ohio State and have some success on this year's Ohio State team because we got Carnell Tate, J.J. Smith, Max Clare. Michigan's wide receiver number 1 wouldn't even earn a scholarship at Ohio State. Michigan's tight end number 1 would be our third best tight end we have on our roster. They have some good running backs, so that's what they're going to end up doing a lot. They'll have a decent running attack. They have 3 decent offensive linemen. Their center, right guard, right tackle are playable. They're good, solid players. But their left guard and left tackle, huge concerns, massive concerns. And that's not just from me. That's from some of the respected Michigan people I talked to that really know their roster well. They're really concerned about left tackle. That's why they're in the portal. That's why they pursued a kid in the portal from South Dakota to be the starting left tackle for them. Oh, and then he committed to Cincinnati. So they got shoved in a locker by Cincinnati. So this notion that they have unlimited money to spend was clearly not true. Clearly they got a lot of help for recruitment last year from Larry Ellison, but he's clearly not going to be that much. Like clearly he's not giving them that much money because they're striking out on all these kids that they desperately need. Because right now they're looking down right in the barrel of, at best, this is me giving them their flowers, being very nice and being very optimistic about Michigan. 9-3, like that's ceiling. That's their ceiling this year, 9-3. So, and that's still not good enough to make the playoffs. That'd probably be somewhere around like 15 to 20 in the nation because their strength of schedule is just really bad. They're not even top 15 strength of schedule as a Big Ten team. So they're one of the worst strength of schedule teams in the whole entire nation. And it's going to be they're just delusional, and it's gonna be fun to see it again because they went 7-5 last year, and they're going to go. At best 9-3. My prediction is 7-5 or 8-4. So,
yeah, you took the words out of my mouth on my prediction as well. Ceiling 9-3. I'm predicting a 7-5 season though. One of the commenters, Richie, watches the show a lot. What up, Richie? Said that he thinks Bryce Underwood is going to be a really good quarterback. I'm not denying that. He has the tools and the build and the skills and the ability to do that. What I'm saying is when you surround him with what he's surrounded by, the coaching staff, the wide receivers, the tight end, the offensive line, the team that he's been on, there's going to be a lot of growing pains. If he was on our team surrounded by who he's surrounded by, I would not be saying he's going to come in and win a national title this year. I would not be saying that confidently. I would hope that, but that's the issue is a lot of people think that he's going to come in and look like a finished product immediately. Well, he doesn't have the resources around him to do that as far as receivers and tight ends. And for me, where's the proof of concept and the coaching for developing at that level? We heard Bryce's interview a while back when he was committed to LSU. He clowned Scum pretty hard on their quarterback development. You know what I'm saying? So do I think he could be an absolutely phenomenal quarterback at some point in time in his career? Yes. Do I think that could be it at Scum? I do. Do I think it will be? No. But that's a whole different subject in itself.
Yeah, I want to bring up one more thing. And they're talking about how, we have a new offense coordinator this year, Chip Lindsey. Chip Lindsey had 1 year under Drake May. Every single Drake May statistic, from completion percentage, yards, touchdowns, rushing touchdowns, dropped off under his 1 year under Chip Lindsey. And Drake May was a third pick in the draft, first round kid. Like that's as good as you can get, really. I mean, that's as good as you can get. I mean, third pick in the draft to the Patriots, and every single stat, he had a big drop off under his 1 year under Chip Lindsey. So Chip Lindsey's not some wizard. He's not some great hire. And again, he has no help around him. So he's going to have to do this by himself. And yeah, like you said, is he going to be a great quarterback someday? Sure. Is it going to be at Michigan, or is it going to be at USC, UCLA? You get what I'm putting down there, Devin? So yeah.
I do, man.
Yeah.
What was I about to say? It was something. Oh dang, dude! I had something good to say. It's got to come back to me. Oh shoot, man. Oh, I was going to say. So I know for a fact, Funky, there's going to be a comment from one of their fans on this video. It's going to say 10 to 13, 60 yards passing. We don't need a really good quarterback to beat y'all. Touche. You got us there. You know what I'm saying? Not much we can say there. So I do hope that we go in there and we take care of business. But to act like, if that's where you got to drop to, to justify your quarterback or to justify your team, talking about 60 yards passing, scoring 13 points, it still got you 7-5 or whatever they were.
I know exactly. It's like they only need 60 yards to beat us, but they probably need more than that to beat the other 5 teams they lost to, Devin. Yeah. So it's like no, seriously. I mean, I rather maybe this is a hot take. I'm sure people are gonna have outrage because clearly this is a very extreme. It'll never happen. Actually, but I rather go 10-2 and make the playoffs every year, but lose to Michigan than go 7-5 and beat Michigan every year and not make the playoffs.
Oh, I'm taking that. Yeah, I agree. Some people will be outraged, but that we've done several shows on that. I would 100% take 10-2 playoffs, lost to them, versus 7-5, beat them. Yeah. Beat them, but you're 7-5. No way, dude. That would be miserable, man.
That'd be miserable. You have no chance at a natty. Zero chance. The whole point is fun is having a natty. Some of my worst memories of an Ohio State fan come from the game in 2019 and those playoff games, or barely missing the playoffs, or being the 5 seed in the being the first team out of the 4-team playoffs, or losing to Clemson, or getting blown out by Clemson and losing to Bama in the natty. Those are my worst memories as an Ohio State fan. It's not losing to Michigan really, unless the years where they knocked us out of the playoffs. But the years where they just kind of beat us, those aren't my worst memories. My worst memories are not winning the natty, because at the end of the day, that's the goal. You're not going to be happy at the end of the year unless you win the natty. That's just the reality of an Ohio State fan. You're going to have some bitter taste in your mouth if you don't win at all. And is that fair expectations? No, but that is the expectations. So
yeah. And again, we got people in the comments. I get it. Day 1K for sure. But 2 things can be true, right? It sucks to lose to scum, but you would rather win a natty. Both those things can be true. We still root for the same team. We're not saying that just because you want to beat them more over a natty that you're wrong. That's fine. I'm cool with it. We're still wanting success for the same team here. So it's just a difference of opinion. And I would much rather have a natty than beat them any day of the year. I don't lose sleep over losing to them. Does it suck? Would it have sucked way worse if we didn't go win the natty? Yeah, dude, it would have. But being at all those games, man, I'll tell you what I wasn't thinking about. I wasn't thinking, oh, my God, but we lost to our rival. No, I was watching Jack Sawyer strip sack Quinn Ewers and run it back so we could go do the national title game. And then I was watching Jeremiah Smith catch a bomb from Will Howard to win the national title. Those things.
Yeah, I can't believe I missed that Cotton Bowl, Devin. I went to I went to every other game besides that Cotton Bowl. But man, do I a little bit me is like, dang it, I would have had a heart attack because I pretty much had a heart attack watching it on television. So few games have brought me to tears, and that's one of them. So yeah.
Oh yeah, dude. That was my favorite game to go to out of all of them. I could not speak after the game. And that was the first and only college football game my little brother has ever been at. So to
Wow.
say, yeah, dude, I drug him along with me.
Wow.
Right
Yeah.
when we got back, he ordered a bunch of Ohio State stuff. He wears the Ohio State hat now. He's got a jersey, dude. He's all for it now, man. But hey, listen, Cavs are about to play, man. I know you really want to watch that. I really want to watch it. Go watch these Cavs, man. Win this game tonight. Any final closing thoughts, Funky?
Thanks for inviting me. Loved being on the show. Yes, sadly we couldn't do it today. B Moses was very busy with his Easter celebration, but we'll be back next week. Me and B Moses. Dev has we have a bunch of shows cooked up. I'll be back on here soon enough in about 10 days. So, yeah, great day to be a Buckeye. Love all y'all people who support me and support Dev and support Buckeye Scoop and support Buckeye Boys. Appreciate all y'all. Never take it for granted. And yeah, thanks for having me. I'll be back on the show soon enough.
Yeah, for sure. Appreciate you guys. You guys know Buckeye Scoop's family, man. Him and B Moses over there, Kirk in Nevada. They're on right now. It's Easter. This is the only time we could go, man. Some big time interviews coming up Tuesday, man. TJ Alford and Riley Pettijohn will be interviewing them side by side together this Tuesday. I mean, that's going to be fire. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Wednesday, G. Scott. Then we got Deuce Gerald's coming on. We got me and Funky are going to interview Jameer Scott, the #1 wide receiver in the class of 2028, right? The one that was visiting Notre Dame, but he's got a Buckeye tattoo on his forearm, so he's a Buckeye. But
Notre Dame flip.
Hey, everybody, we appreciate you watching, man. Don't forget to hit that like button. Share this feed on your X, your Instagram, your Facebook, the whole 9 yards. We appreciate you guys. We love you guys. Go Buckeyes. OH. IO.
Sorry.